The former president came here to the southern border in Arizona to make the case that the nation is experiencing a deadly plague of migrant crime. And he says it's all because of the policies of the Biden-Harris administration.
2 Kamala migrants were just arrested for the rape of a 46-year-old woman.
Former President Trump used his visit to the border to lay out graphic stories of violence carried out by undocumented immigrants, flanked by 3 families who experienced that violence firsthand.
Kamala says she wants to talk about the future. No, these people want to go back to the safe past.
Among the stories he highlighted was Rachel Morin, a 37-year-old woman who was raped and murdered in Maryland last year by an undocumented immigrant.
I just take my words to heart because it's devastating to lose a child, but even more devastating when you see the pictures or you see the body. And you really understand what's happened to that person.
Behind the speakers, there were stacks of unused steel bollards. Trump said the border wall here was almost completed during his term, but the Biden-Harris administration paused the construction.
She wants open borders. She wants our country. I don't understand why anybody would want it, but she wants our country to be open to the world's criminals so they can come in and rape and pillage and do whatever they have to do.
Up above, snipers from the Secret Service kept watch in cranes.
Thank you, everybody.
This was one of Trump's first outdoor events since the assassination attempt last month. Just a short time before the event, the Cochise County Sheriff's Office put out an alert saying they were on the lookout for a man from Benson, a convicted sex offender who had made a death threat against Trump. We learned after the event that deputies were able to take that man into custody. Reporting from the border, I'm Derek Stahl for Arizona's Family. This was Governor Tim Walz's first solo stop in Arizona, and he used the opportunity to lay out some of the Harris-Walz agenda and also get the crowd ready for tonight's big presidential debate. The Democratic vice presidential candidate spoke for just 9 minutes, and it felt at times like a pregame pep rally. Tim Walz was a football coach and teacher before he became Minnesota's governor. He said the Harris-Walz administration will work to lower costs for middle-class families on things like health care and housing, while he said Trump will cut taxes for billionaires. And he spoke at some length about the deadly school shooting in Georgia last week and some comments his opponents made after that and other mass shootings.
Donald Trump said people traumatized by mass shootings just need to get over it. And when J.D. Vance was a few miles down the road last week, he said massacres are like this one are a fact of life. You know what's a fact of life? The sky is blue. That's a fact of life. You want to know another fact of life? Trump got his ass kicked in the 2020 election. He's going to do it again. He's going to do it again.
Walz promised to address the epidemic of gun violence, but didn't say how. About 2 minutes into the speech, Walz was briefly interrupted by 2 pro-Palestinian demonstrators. They were quickly escorted out. Walz did not acknowledge them. Walz also attacked Trump's plan to impose across-the-board tariffs on imported goods. He said in the past it would cost American families about $4,000 a year. PolitiFact rates that as half true. Economic projections have varied from about $4,000 a year down to about $2,000. In Mesa, I'm Derek Stahl for Arizona's Family.
Yeah, Jared, I mean, it's just almost incredible to see what these flames look like out here. I'm going to get right to showing you what it kind of looks like right here in Congress tonight. You could see that massive orange glow out there in the distance and active flames that are on this mountain tonight. Again, 5 homes are being threatened by this wildfire and more than 40 others. They're on a set status, meaning folks living in the areas near Ghost Town Road, they need to be ready to evacuate in a moment's notice if told to do so. The good news is that the wind is coming down tonight, but this fire grew so quick because of those thunderstorms with winds close to 60 miles an hour in this area. Now, State Forestry says the fire started about 3 miles north of Congress. It was was moving toward town that was concerning because it came just miles within some structures. We do know air support was called in to help in this firefight, but it's unclear if they were able to drop anything on this fire because of the strong winds. Now, we caught up with Mike Martin within the last hour. He's with State Forestry. He says more than 100 firefighters are working to put out these flames. He's hoping the cooler temperatures and lighter winds overnight will help in this fight. Is this a two-shot at the end, Kylie, or no? Now, of course, as we continue to kind of just see these flames right behind us, he recommended that folks living in this area just have a bag to go just in case. And guys, it's a little bit of a eerie and kind of sad feeling when you're driving through this area. You see signs that say Yarnell is just up the road from here. Of course, we know that wildfire years ago took 19 firefighters, that hotshot crew, out with that wildfire. Tonight, we do know that fire crews are okay, but Martin said he is closely monitoring them because of how hot it has been, and of course just the strong winds are the concern as we head into a new day. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Well, it is time to get into the holiday spirit, and there is no better way than at Enchant Christmas. It's in Scottsdale.
Yeah, this family-friendly favorite is back at Salt River Fields for another year, and Michael Raimondi is out there tonight. Michael, has it been a little drizzly? Is that putting a damper at all on things?
The rain definitely moved through earlier, and everyone walks by. It's really squeaky. Here, see if you can hear that. Because the rain moved by, but not really impacting anything. That moved through. People are still hanging out. And now we are in the center of everything. This is by the Mecca here, the big giant tree right in the middle of the outfield here at the ballpark, 100 feet tall. As you can imagine, thousands of lights just on that tree, and people are able to walk right through it. Some pretty cool stuff down here this year. And like you said, it's family friendly, but not every night is necessarily pet friendly. But that is going to change this weekend. And we want to talk about that because we have Brittany here and Lasagna. Can we just give an appreciation for that name? Hey, Brittany, how's it going out here tonight with Lasagna? How's Lasagna doing?
It's going great. He's finding all the spare popcorn that the kids are dropping throughout the event.
He's just hanging out. Well, you seem a little interested in our microphone there, Lasagna. So obviously you have your dog out here tonight, and this weekend's a pretty big deal for pet owners. And tell us what they can do this weekend.
Yeah, so this Sunday you can bring your pet over, a dog to be specific. We're having a paws and claws night. We already have 170 dogs signed up, and we are looking for up to 500 dogs that evening, and we'll have dog-specific vendors throughout.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think, you know, people walking around with their families, of course, it's a great night. You're getting into the holiday spirit. But so many people, I'm sure, want to bring their pets in. And so how much different is it for you when you can, you know, bring your dog and walk around through all this?
It's honestly amazing. There's not a lot of places that he got me. There's not a lot of places that'll let you bring your dog in and get pictures with Santa. So you can even participate in the family photos, and the dog doesn't have to miss out on your holiday photos that get sent out.
So it's really a family event when everybody, including the doggos, are involved. Yeah. Awesome stuff. Also, Sam, can we get in here? Can we just show the little sweater? Hold on. I need you to move your head, little guy. Look at that. Lasagna. What a great name. And an Italian breed, you said, right? That very...
The Lagotto Romagnolo.
Okay, very fitting. All right, Lasagna, you're getting a little fussy here. We'll let you go. So, thank you, Brittany. So, ahead at 8:45, guys, we were showing you that giant tree. You can imagine what it takes to put all of this together. So, we're going to talk to that guy, and who really, his job is to make sure all of this works. A lot of pressure for him. We'll talk to him coming up in a half an hour. We'll see you then.
Looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does. All right. Looks like an Instagram photo op waiting to happen. Michael Raimondi, thanks for that.
Oh, yeah.
And we love lasagna. Thank you.
How many of you take your ballot by mail and mail it back? Okay.
There aren't any live ballots in this room right now, but come November, the votes that move through here may play a role in some of the country's most consequential races.
We're trying to be as transparent as possible. We're trying to take the mystery out of the election administration process.
On a recent Thursday evening, Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer spent about an hour and a half showing the process your ballot goes through each election cycle.
We've never been part of a tour like this, or we've never actually been in this building before, even though we've heard about it.
This particular group is called Arizona Talks, which aims to keep folks civically engaged.
Is anyone worried about somebody voting twice? Is that something you've heard someone worry about? Okay, that is something you have heard worry. This barcode is what allows us to make sure that you don't vote twice.
The tour includes a stop in the tabulation center, the warehouse. Some even got a chance to test how signature verification works.
How your vote is counted, what happens if you mess up or double vote on a certain bubble. It is just so fun to know what the procedures are and where your vote goes step by step.
Another stop on the tour is just outside the election management server room, where come election night, it's where results are kept and only 3 people have access to it.
When we want to report results, we get them from this. We take a never-before-used thumb drive, and we download the results onto it. We take it out of this room because nothing in this room connects to the internet.
There's also 24/7 video surveillance in the building, where Republicans, Democrats, and independents all play a role.
The number one thing I would take away from this, or tell anybody that is questioning the system, is that to know that there are people from all sides involved.
It has its flaws, but overall, Richer thinks it's a sound process that's tested beforehand.
Skepticism is integrated into the process, and you'll see some of that with some of these positions, that you have to have a Republican and you have to have a Democrat going together such that they're checking each other and they're watching each other.
Anyone in the community can sign up for a tour. While outside, it's easy for conspiracy theories to spread online, Richer hopes to make the machinery inside the facility less mysterious and alarming.
We're an important piece in a very meaningful conversation that is happening in the United States right now, which is broader than elections, is really trust in our institutions and even just trust in our fellow men.
In what's shaping up to be a busy election year, you still have a chance to ask questions directly to the folks working to make sure your vote is counted come November.
He was just a really fun guy. Everyone loved him. He had a great sense of humor.
Gilbert Police Lieutenant Eric Shoehandler dedicated his life to serve and protect his community and to being the best dad. Meredith and her sister Nicole were just little girls when their hero was killed in the line of duty.
I think of him in big moments, and I'll feel his presence.
Lieutenant Shoehandler was gunned down during a routine traffic stop in Gilbert 14 years ago this month. Christopher Redondo pulled the trigger. 9 years later, Redondo was sentenced to life in prison. Meredith was 22 years old at the time.
That was hard. I think a lot of people were waiting for closure for the trial to at least come and then finish.
Last Friday, Redondo died in prison at the age of 49. The Arizona Department of Corrections confirming the news on Tuesday, but Meredith got word of what happened right away.
The world is a better place without him in it, and that was a good feeling. I don't really think anything can bring closure, I would say, but it's definitely puts me at a sense of relief and peace.
With a lighter heart, Meredith is holding on to her father's love that never left and will continue to keep his memory alive.
I think we honor him every day just by talking about him and thinking of him often and just doing things to make him proud.
This is where the magic happens at the tamales store. Cooks have been working overtime preparing thousands of tamales so that people living in the valley can celebrate Christmas with a bit of tradition. The tamal store in Phoenix welcomes the Christmas chaos.
We're kind of in a war against our customers, where it's like, who can make more versus buy more.
My money is on the store. Check this out. Hungry customers wrap around the building before opening time and run in as fast as they can to get their hands on tamales.
It's amazing. We make most of, our money for the year in this month. This month is what sustains us every single year.
No quiero que. Eddie Pimienta says his mother, Marta Rocio Castillo, opened up shop 15 years ago, bringing her tamal recipe from Mexico City and perfecting it in the valley. a recipe for success.
It's a great validation of what we do and what we've kind of dedicated our lives to.
This week, employees are working overtime, coming in before the crack of dawn and leaving when the sun goes down after preparing thousands of tamales.
We know how to package them, make them, freeze them, sell them so that everything's fresh on Christmas Day for everybody.
It's a labor of love strengthened by Mexican roots proudly displayed throughout the store.
We try to represent that every day in what we do, and the flavors are what really tell it.
Flavors of a Christmas tradition his customers can take to their tables.
Growing up, we always had friends who had family that made them. And over the years, I've lost touch with them, so it's nice to have a store to come get them from.
And to share a meal that brings families closer together.
I just like knowing that I can keep on that tradition.
And when you go to open it in the corn husk, it's like a little present, that you can eat.
The store is no longer taking pre-orders, but don't worry, they still have thousands of tamales for you to just come walking in and taking some home. Just make sure you stop by from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. before Christmas Eve because they will be closed for the holidays. Reporting in Phoenix, Casey Torres, Arizona's Family.
All right, thank you guys both for sitting down, talking with me today. And I want to start with you, Senator Barrasso. A lot of people see you coming out here campaigning for Kari Lake as kind of a sign that the establishment is giving her more of an embrace, that maybe you can broaden the message and reach people, Republicans who didn't vote for Kari in her run for governor. What do you say to people, Republicans right now, who did not vote for Kari Lake 2 years ago? What do you say to them this time around?
Well, she's very forceful. She's effective. I think she's a responsible voice for the people of Arizona, and we need her in the United States Senate. I was the first senator, Republican senator, to endorse her. She was in Washington. We had a chance to meet. I had watched her previous to that with a number of various interviews that she did. My wife and I watched her. She's the future of our party. We need her. I want to do everything I can to help bring more people together and make sure she wins this election in 2024 for the U.S. Senate.
And a lot has been made in the media. You have made a deal about trying to reach out to folks like your former opponents, Karen Taylor Robeson and Meghan McCain. That's been in the news a lot. I want to ask you, how has that been working, reaching out to more moderate Republicans, considering you did call them, a lot of folks, rhinos, and you weren't happy with certain elements of the party? How is that message being taken right now?
I think it's going well. I really do, and we've talked about this before, you and I have. I don't want to tell the world, everybody I'm meeting with, because I don't want them to be dragged into a news story unnecessarily. I am gaining a lot of support with people who didn't previously support me. I had a lot of support before, and I'm just adding. It's a game of addition, they say, politics is. But more important than just adding to my support, I want to bring people together. We're so divided as a country. I do put a lot of the blame on the media for that. Working in the media for a long time, I know it's about keeping people afraid, divided, isolated, and it's done a lot of damage to our country. So I want to bring people together. We're going to have a big cleanup job to do, and it's going to take all hands on deck. That means all Republicans. It's going to take independents to come in. Even disaffected Democrats are waking up to these policies that just aren't working. I know that the people who are watching your station tonight are looking at the border crisis. They're hearing about stories like Laken Riley, who was murdered by somebody here illegally. He shouldn't have even been here. Another story that I talked about today, a murder when somebody was deported 4 times and they're still committing crimes and still coming back. We have to secure the border. It's starting to affect every single American. And so I want to work to bring Republicans together to do that, independents, Democrats. I'm meeting with all kinds of Arizonans. Some of them are traditional Republicans, some of them are MAGA Republicans, and we're going to work together. We're going to get the majority in the U.S. Senate. And when we get that, we're going to take all kinds of Republicans. Some are going to be from states that are a little more purple or even blue. I think we might even have a win in some of the blue states with Republicans. They have to represent their constituents. And when we get together in the Senate, we are going to work together. The people of this country are going to demand it.
And speaking of moderates and whatnot, you said that your one attack that got on McCain got a lot of attention, that drove a stake to the heart of the McCain machine. You said that was in jest, correct?
Well,
that was in jest.
No, this was a different comment, but that comment refers to a political apparatus here in Arizona that had a grip on politics, and it was really hard for the grassroots to take any movement and get in. And I believe that with my victory in the primary for the governorship, we did show the grassroots has power in this state. And the grassroots do have power. That's how this government is supposed to be, from the bottom up. And the grassroots have a lot of power. I want to bring people in who are more establishment traditional as well. I truly am extending an olive branch. I mean it. If you weren't with me before, I want you with me, because we got to save our country.
But there was a lot of attention on that one comment that you guys have said that was a joke or in jest. I do want to ask you though, but you also went after Cindy McCain when you run for governor.
How did I go after her?
You had said that she was in cahoots with George Soros, that to defeat America and whatnot. And I wanted to say, is that
a direct quote?
That was you on the Steve Bannon show, I believe.
Okay.
Is that something you really still believe about them?
Cindy McCain works for the Biden administration, and I appreciate the hard work she's done in this state. And if she decides she wants to vote for me, I don't think she's actually living here right now, so I don't think she is voting. I want to reach all people. And if Cindy McCain decides she wants to come and vote for me, I will welcome that. If she wants to support me, I will welcome that. I want to get Arizonans who are voting to see that our policies work. You know, a lot of times you've talked about me focusing on the past, focusing on the past. I'm looking forward. I'm looking to the future. And our future can either be very bright and be excellent for our young people and our children, or it can be very bleak. And right now you're focusing on the past. The people of Arizona don't care about this.
They want to know who you are.
They don't. They know who I am. I've been in their homes for 27 years.
They want to know who you are because you'd said things in the past, and you're correcting that now or changing that
Dennis,
now.
you need to move on. We are bringing people together, and they know who I am. They know I'm a fighter. They know that I care deeply about this community. I've raised my family in this community, and they know that I care about that border. They know that I had a policy that was so good on that border that Greg Abbott is now doing that in Texas, and it's working. I want to solve these problems. I'm not worried about squabbles. I'm moving forward. I can't go backwards. I can only move forward, and I'm going to move forward and help the people of the state. I'm going to win this seat and help bring the majority back to the Senate so we can solve some of these problems that we've been dealing with for a long time.
Okay. And let me ask Senator Barrasso this question, too. This question was asked at the press conference. Didn't seem like it was a very popular question, but I did want to ask this. Working in the Senate, Kari Lake, there's a lot of attention given to a recording she had taken of Jeff DeWitt, the former campaign party chair. Can you trust that she can be trusted in backroom conversations, candid conversations, that she won't be recording people or anything like that? Because the Senate
Dennis, this is ridiculous. The people of this country don't care about this.
The Senate, though, you've been in the Senate for a long time. You would have recorded
a conversation if someone showed up at your door and said, I got to tell you something, I can't tell it on the phone. I was nervous about it. I thought there would be a threat in it. And I have every right. I didn't break any laws. I have every right. And you're spending time sitting with the sitting senator.
I'm asking the sitting senator about whether she can be trusted.
I have great confidence in Kari Lake as a senator in the United States. Would love to have her from representing the people of Arizona as a forceful, effective, conservative voice for the country. We need her in the United States Senate. I think she'd be a great addition to the Senate and make a big difference for our country moving forward, getting back on track.
Okay,
and the only people I record, frankly, are people that come to my door and try to bribe me. If you come into my home and try to bribe me, there's a chance I might record you. And guess who else I record? Every interaction I have with the fake news media.
Sure.
Because, as you know,
the
first interaction we had, how dishonest the fake news media is. Nobody trusts them. And so I record that. And I think not only should every politician record every interaction they have with the media, I think every American should record every interaction they have with the media. Because you've proven time and time again that you can't be trusted. That you can't be trusted.
That me personally can't be trusted?
That the news can't be trusted, yeah.
Okay, well, I do want to ask, I know you don't want to go back, but there are questions.
Oh, boy, Dennis, really, we have a wide open border. Where are we going back now? What year are we going back to now, Dennis? Because I want to focus on the future, because I know that the media has not covered it well. They've not covered our cases well. It's all in the court documents. Go look at it. But I'm not going to sit here when we have a few minutes to talk about the issues that are facing Americans at the border with the crime soaring
And we'll have stories about the border night from the press conference.
Focus on the past. It's actually almost comical.
No, that is not the truth. Because we will air stories about the press conference.
Okay.
You talked about
I will
the border.
tell you this, Dennis. Let me tell you this. I'm actively involved in cases, and as you know, I'm actively involved in a lawsuit. Anybody who's involved in a lawsuit, their attorneys would tell them not to go into specific details, and so therefore I'm going to do that. Okay.
Well,
but what
just
I would
explain,
like to,
though,
I would like
how
to.
Kim Yee had 100,000 more votes than you in a rigged election. She's a Republican too.
Really? We're going to keep relitigating,
Well,
huh?
I've not asked you that, and I am interested in your explanation.
Well, Dennis, I am willing to talk about the border. That's why we are here today. We're talking about the border. And, you know, you guys have criticized me for several years now for talking about elections. I want to talk about the 2024 election versus Ruben Gallego. By the way, you want to talk about voting, Ruben Gallego wants everybody pouring across this border, he wants to give them right to vote. That's 9 million people, maybe 12 million. I'm not sure I believe the federal government's numbers. He wants them all to be able to vote. And I don't think the American people want that. I don't want that, and the American people don't want that. If you have any more questions about the border.
I do have a question about the border, but I do. The Kim Yee thing is interesting because she had 100,000 more votes than you in a rigged election. I am curious and interested, and I think people are interested in your explanation.
That just shows you there's so many anomalies and things that don't make any sense. There are so many things that don't make sense about the statistics involving that election. And I know that you really don't care to dig into it because of the coverage, the lack of coverage. So we're going to end it at that. And please let the record show that Dennis and 3TV cannot get over past elections, just as you've accused me, Dennis. I'm actually embarrassed for you right now that you have a sitting senator here.
I'm sure you are. Yeah. And I have a border question and for the final question here, but go ahead and continue.
I'm done. If you have no more questions.
Okay. I do want to get your guys' opinion about the bipartisan border plan that got killed in the Senate. Is it a regret on your part? What was wrong with that plan?
Well, I think the best plan to deal with the border is the bill that came out of the House of Representatives. H.R. 2 came to the Senate, and Chuck Schumer has it sitting there for 9 months. Won't bring it up for hearings, won't bring it up for a vote. That's what we need to do. We need to attach that on the funding bill that is already passed, because what we saw initially coming out of the Biden administration on this so-called national security bill was more money for sanctuary cities, more money to smooth the flow of illegal immigrants into the country rather than to stop the flood. And my goal is to stop this flood that's now at 9 million.
And what's your proposal?
I've talked about, you want me to talk about the bill
plan,
that went down?
Because you talked about today, you talked about ending catch and release, shutting down the border. You've got a 3-point plan.
I frankly don't think we need a lot of legislation. We do need spending approved to finish President Trump's wall. And I'm not sure exactly the cost. I've heard it estimated anywhere between 8 and 20 billion. I think we need to get that spending approved and quickly build the border wall and allow our border patrol agents to do their job. We need to stop allowing people in. We need to have a president who will stop catch and release. You know, the senator talked about dozens upon dozens. Was it 90? Was it 90?
94 different executive orders that Joe Biden signed in his first 100 days in office.
To dismantle an incredibly effective border policy that President Trump had in place to keep us safe, you safe, your viewers safe. This is somebody who's on a mission to destroy our country. Why would he do that? And look at the border. Laken Riley, 22 years old, her whole life ahead of her, is dead because of Joe Biden's policies. We've got fentanyl pouring in. So we don't have to create a whole bunch of legislation. Go back to President Trump's policies. They worked, and let's make sure we get that border wall complete.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.